about your feel for because like I would hate to leave it so vague and be like, we're donating a large set, like we're centerpiece for every tip, like.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
All right, everyone, it's 7 o'clock. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. All right, call the meeting to order. I'm Charlie Pizzabene, president of the East Community Library Board of Trustees. We'll start out with a review of the agenda for the trustees. If anyone has any changes or suggestions to make for the agenda. If none, we're going to move on to the first item of tonight, which is public comment. So we've got client sheet. We got 6 folks on the sign up sheet for today. If you didn't get it, you want to speak, let us know. Ground rules for public comment. Oh, we have 4 written comments as well that Jill will read it for us. Ground rules for public comment. Folks are limited to 3 minutes, and Amanda's got 10 seconds. Yep.
Time's up.
So you got it on the clock and color coded there to help you visually. So we'll start out first with David. David, I wasn't gonna speak. Okay, all right, cool. And we got Ed, Steve.
Okay, there'll be a lot more people to speak tonight. The event. Good evening, Library Board members. My name is Steve Montano. Tonight we have reason to celebrate. The citizens of East Greenbush have again voted to approve the very responsible library budget. Well done. Also, congratulations to the newly elected board members. But even more important, yesterday, Town of East Greenbush publicly ended its efforts to pursue the ridiculous notion of putting a new police station on the wonderful green space that is part of the library property. We all support the new police station, just not on this beautiful, tranquil, and much needed green space. I commend you for your forethought and good judgment to preserve this area for current and future generations to enjoy. I am always soothed by when passing by this very unique and well-maintained property. Thank you.
All right.
I actually just thought it was an attendance sheet, but I will say, I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Crystal Dorigo, and I'm just going to say thank you very much for the new orchestra very much.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
And yeah, it's got public attendance, public comments at the top, so, Michael?
It's tough to do this in 3-minute increments. I came tonight basically for one thing. I saw that the town has backed off going after this site. I'll be blunt. I don't believe it for a minute. And I strong in your agenda that was published online stated that there would be a discussion and a vote. I sincerely hope that you and have a vote to turn this down and send it to the town to once and for all end it. There were in their discussion at the town meeting last week on numerous properties were not for sale, and they didn't pursue them any further. I think you need to communicate to the town in writing that this parcel is not for sale or a part of the parcel, or as they call the fringe, the primary piece out front. So I just want to make sure that my recommendation is that you do have a vote tonight, because it would be easy to say, well, they stopped, so we're done. I don't think they're done. So please have a vote.
I will be much more brief than I was the other night. And I will look for the cue cards because I was looking for it the other night too. I just wanted to say congratulations. As Michael said too, it's a good week, certainly for the board here. Just a couple things to follow up. I think, both for the library, separately for the town and in another vein. I think this is a great opportunity. The public is engaged now. So I think it's a great opportunity to look at a few different things to engage the public more. I've been trying to stay off social media as much as I can and not read comments, but I know there are still people who are opposed. They're not happy the budget got passed. So maybe there are things that the library can do to reach out more in explaining the strategic plan. You know, what is the use of the property as you see it in the future? Maybe there are things you can do. The Friends had a successful fundraiser with the night at the library. Maybe in the summer you can hold purposely on the lawn a day at the library and, you know, pull out your library of things for those who are naysayers saying the library doesn't offer anything. Well, we've got giant Jenga and cornhole and stuff they can rent. So show it out on the lawn and engage the public and get them involved. Maybe a survey can go out and say, what's, you know, items don't you think that the library provides today that you would like to see? And, you know, work off of that for the future. So I think there's a lot of those things. Maybe in the winter, you know, can't plan ahead for snow, but it's supposed to be the snowiest winter ever. Maybe you can have supplies for building snowmen on the lawn, you know, something in the interim. But from a cost perspective, what is the strategic plan? How does the library foresee potential use in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years for expansion and what is needed? Some great points were made the other night, and I think you can continue to build upon that. The vision is. And then the last thing in regards to one of the other things with salaries, everybody loves to think about salaries. Everybody seems to want everybody else to work for free. They want, you know, this to be housed and led by volunteers. Elon Musk is making $1 trillion. I mean, what's $1.9 million in salaries for, you know, an average employee works $2,080 a year, or excuse me, 2,080 hours a year. What is your full-time equivalent of employees, and divide that by your salary cost, and that's on average what your employees make. What are your benefits? Are they 30%? Are they 40%? Did they go up this year? You know, are they planned to go up next year as everyone's saying healthcare is going up? So just take the opportunity. I think it's great. I'm very happy to support. Apologies for dragging everybody through my long spiel the other night, but I'm happy to see where it went. I'm happy to support you, and I look forward to the future of the library here with an empty lawn and no police station. I also agree that I don't think he's done it yet. So just be prepared.
Before we switch to the written comments, any other folks came in late, didn't get the sign-in sheet, want to give public comment? I'll give you that. Sign in. I'll sign you in, and do you wanna, so that would.
Yeah, sure, just Mandy McCord. The only thing I just had a comment on was I'm looking at the budget, which is basically the voting for the yesterday. And if I was reading it correctly, there's only about 560 people actually voted. And there's like 17,000 people in East Greenwood, so I'm just thinking that I guess it's disheartening. And I didn't really, maybe in the future, if there's more outreach, just to remind people, have more signs on something, people even know about the vote. But I mean, just for almost a $3 million budget, to have 500 people in the community vote on that just seems not terribly representative. Again, you know, whichever way it goes, doesn't matter, but just, again, just maybe in the future, seeing if there's more ways to try to get more of the vote out. Comment.
Right. Have we signed in?
Yeah, Frank Coppola. I missed some of the excitement. I was out of town for a while, but I did see a lot of the communication going back and forth, and I think there was some lack of communication on both sides, as Jack, our supervisor, had mentioned. I think, as Mike has mentioned before, the library adding an area for expansion is critical. But if for some reason that expansion area could still allow for a police station facility on that property, I'm all for it. I know this gentleman spoke about the bucolic nature of the area, but plenty of terrific libraries are in the middle of cars and streets and buildings, and this one could be too. So depending on what exactly you think is needed for our expansion, I think that would give the town an idea of what they need for the police department, and I think some additional thinking and flexibility would be helpful in that regard in the future.
Anyone else? Not, we're gonna shift over to the submitted comments.
This is from Janice. I feel I attended the town hall meeting on the proposed site sale to the police department. I am against this sale. I am a licensed mental health counselor and the mental health toll on this proposal will be significant. A quiet library, helpful activities in senior care does not belong along with emergency services activities. This is from Kristen Schroeder. Greetings, as an avid walker and resident within walking distance of the library, I would like to voice my opposition to the proposed sale of the library land for a new EGPD station. I do agree that our town is in need of a new station, but the town owns a multitude of unused properties that could be considered. Taking up library property will impede any future library expansions. It will also make the space around the library much less accessible to a considerable number of local residents who regularly use the green space. Aside from losing access to outdoor space for residents and townspeople, the emergency vehicle traffic on 151 heading toward Route 4 could be quite dangerous. The top of the hill is lined. Vehicles shooting up over the hill can be dangerous for the neighborhoods between the library and Route 4. One could imagine as well that the cows traffic circle would see an increased number of accidents. Drivers seem to struggle with the traffic pattern now. Toss in a vastly increased number of on-call emergency vehicles entering the circle, lights flashing at a high rate of speed, not a great mix. The amount of traffic from the YMCA is already rather high. Combined with the high school and library traffic, it's not an ideal place to add a police station. Please take note that there are many dog walkers in the area, many seniors, and a good number of children, both as pedestrians and drivers. Thank you for your time and attention. This is from Sue Koneski. I'm sorry. Hello, my husband and I, along with our 3 children, have lived on Glass Street for 38 years. We were frequent visitors to the library and the town hall in the earlier years. But when we heard the news that a beautiful library was coming just practically across the street from our home, we were thrilled. We've enjoyed the new library since day one, using it over and over again for our children, for ourselves, and now our 1-year-old granddaughter who loves story time in the children's rooms. It is a beautiful, magical place. How lucky we are to have it practically in our own backyard, along with the sidewalks that were eventually added. The entire community and beyond enjoy this space and the wonderful programs, collections, assistance, and technology it offers. We are proud to say that our family has a brick out on the front patio that was added later after the library was built. The side patio is a beautiful space as well, added after the fact. These improvements show that the library is still changing and evolving and will continue to do so in the future. We need to be prepared for this continued growth and keep this green space available for potential additions. When COVID hit, that green space was a solace to me. As I walked through the complex daily, I still do, as do many others. I often cross the street with groups of high school students moving towards the Y or the library. When we found out that the beautiful space that surrounds the library would possibly be taken to build a new police station, we were horrified. The situation only grew worse when we saw how the library board was treated in this process. Our officers are most deserving of a new space. We can all agree upon that. This is not that space. We adamantly feel that this is not the place for a police station. That green space should be preserved with the intent it was given when it was first designed. We beg you to say no to this proposal. We spoke against it at the town board meeting and will continue to be vocal about our dissent. Thank you for the opportunity to share our feelings. And this one is from Allegra Smith. Dear East Greenwich Library board members, I'm writing to thank you for your level-headed, objective approach to the past month's public drama surrounding the possible location of a new police station on your property. While the town supervisor resorted to threats made in the local newspaper and on Facebook, you calmly presented the facts in a direct email to patrons and remained as neutral as possible. I appreciated the opportunity to get the facts directly from the library. While I support the need for a new police station, I am strongly against using the library property as a site now or in the future. Community Way is a calm, positive space. A police station would bring increased traffic, parking lots, and noise that would alter the fundamental nature of the library. It would also limit future expansion opportunities for the library. It's possible to support the need for a new police station and value our our current library property enough to recognize that locating a police station nearby would be detrimental to the community. Furthermore, the threat of eminent domain by the town supervisor and the portrayal of the need for a new police station as an emergency when it's been an issue for over 30 years have both left me questioning the true agenda of the East Greenbush supervisor and town board. They seem to value their own ideas more than the community's input and respect. Thank you for taking the high road and letting the community voice their concerns to defeat this proposal instead of undertaking costly legal action. I recognize that members of the library board are elected volunteers, and I thank you for your service, time, and energy that you have devoted to this matter.
So I think, unless there's anyone else or anything that's come in, that should wrap up public comment. Oh. Hey,
I didn't, right, because I haven't really, not up to date about as much of the stuff going on, but place stuff, but other than, I just keep hearing future expansion. Has there been discussions of expanding the library?
yeah.
Okay, I just, yeah, sorry, I heard that. I thought maybe I, because again, I missed some recent meetings, so. Okay, thank you.
So seeing none, we'll move on with the agenda. So item 3 is approval of the special meeting minutes. So folks have it in their packet as item B. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the October 16th, 2025 special library board meeting. Mary, second. From Caleb, any discussion, comments, questions?
Thank you, Jenna, for transcribing all of that.
Thank you. All right,
Oh, was it Cammy?
Yeah, I wasn't here.
That's right, you were, I'm sorry, Cammy, you did a great job.
Any questions, comments? All in favor? Are 7-0. Motion approved. And item 4 is approval of the meeting minutes from October 21st, and that is item C in our packet.
For anybody who's here or watching at home, all the board packets are always on the library calendar. You go to the link where the business happening, the board attached there for anybody who wants to see.
Motion to approve the minutes of the October 21st, 2025 library board.
Can we give me? Have a correction in someone's name.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I make sure. Then I've been selling.
Motion to approve the minutes of the October 21st, 2025 library board meetings. Motion by Mary, second by Katie. Any discussion, comments? All in favor? The motion carries 7-0. Yeah. Right, and then with that, we move on to item 5, which is treasurer reports. Nicole.
So the year is 87.05% over, and the library remains in good financial standing. Some of the lines were a little bit over or under budget. And specific payments within this time frame, but all within the plan. Later on the agenda, there are some suggested movement motions to move that were discussed in committee prior to this, just to move from one line to the other, but still remain in budget. And one noteworthy expense is that NICERS this year is more than budgeted than last year. That really changed. Other large expenses this time frame were for furniture and as always, materials and online subscriptions. Do you have any questions?
I might have missed it, but was the nice search for the year, was that in the packet?
The payment is in the on the list, yes.
The payments in the packet, it's 204,647.
All right.
It's on the warrant.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Okay. I thought it would have called out somewhere else, so.
No, the awful, so this is the employer contribution of every payroll. We make the NICERS payments, which is what we take out of payroll, the employees contribution. Oh, that's with every pay. So this is the yearly, and this is reported out on the prepayments schedule where you save you save about $2,000 by prepaying December, so this is 2026 payment, we have to repay by December.
So there are three motions. One, the first is to accept the off warrant in the amount of $162,266.70 for the period of October 11, 2025 through November 14, 2025.
Comments, questions? All in favor? Okay, so 7-0, motion passes.
Next is a motion to authorize the president to sign the warrant for the period of October 11, 2025 through November 14, 2025 in the amount of $252,762.30.
Any comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, 7-0, the one carries.
And lastly, a motion to approve the November 14th, 2025 financials with 87.05% of year completed as.
Katie? Any comments for discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? 7-0, motion carries. Thank you. Ms. Cole. And we'll move on to committee reports now. We didn't have services this month. We had admin, so we'll go to Amanda.
Oh, great. We got quite a few things going on here, so bear with me. So we had our meeting on November 3rd. We looked at the final draft reserves policy. This has been reviewed multiple times by both committee and full board. I think we finally nailed it this time. But I'm glad because I'm glad that it's an important document, but it's good that it went through so many revisions just because we covered it. I feel like we covered everything now. So you have that in your packet. We distributed it in June and then we just finally, here's the final version. So we'll be looking for so we're gonna have the administrative committee move to recommend final approval of the reserves policy. Any questions, any final thoughts, any last second changes you want made to the policy?
Motion coming out today.
Yep, motion's coming out of there, yep.
No questions, comments? All in favor? 7-0, so the third policy.
And next up, we talked about budget proposed amendments. Nicole alluded to this a minute ago. As we're looking at the year-end budget, we're reviewing it, we're doing some adjustments, theoretical adjustments for your review. So there's about $35,000 more that we've earned in interest than we had budgeted for, which is really cool. So we are recommending that we decrease the technology budget line, shift that to books and materials for Hoopla, because as you know, everyone loves Hoopla and demand is crazy. We want to add $30,000 to facilities due to higher expenses, utilities, reduce operations by $10,000 to help offset increases, reduce salaries and benefits by $135,460 due to turnover and leaving the assistant director position open most of the year. So we have a lot of extra line in that line. Then that would also, this is a lot of back and forth of money. So it's kind of transfer an additional $55,000 to the reserves to help sufficient funding for future recurring for upcoming projects. The And then our 2026 budget, the Skodak budget line has a little bit of a shortfall, $56,000, which we would propose to cover with funds that were unspent from this year, and along with the things that I mentioned that we are shifting around. So,
Can I jump in?
yes, please.
The change.
Okay,
Oh,
because there's a change because we received the NICER's bill
Oh,
afterwards.
right, yeah, this was
That-
prior to the nice
that's-
bill. So, yeah,
So in your packets, have the proposed transfers, the only difference being that salaries and benefits. Now with the recommendation is to reduce it by $15,425. And that would mean that the transfer to unassigned balance would be $74,625. That reflects the 35,000 income minus all of those. And the clear changes.
so we're not changing what we're moving it around,
No,
just
it's
the dollar
just
amount
that
is
that's
changed. Okay. Yeah, so like I said, this was the third, now it's 18th, so. Okay. Any questions?
We should probably just say that this isn't like for the non-finance people, it's not that we're getting money, it's just transferring what we already have.
It's just shifting
I know,
it from line to line.
Cause I
Because
know,
I'm a non-finance person and it took a while to explain it to me,
Yeah.
so.
so it's not an increase of any sort of any,
No,
it's
there's
just shifting money.
there's an increase of $35,000 that's total that's coming in due to interest.
Right.
And then there's a recommendation. to
But
put an
it's
additional, not additional money, we're reducing expenses to be able to transfer money into savings or capital reserves for some of the bigger projects that are coming in. And unassigned fund balance, that's the 75,000.
But this is nothing that reflects on taxpayers.
Oh, no, it doesn't reflect, there's no additional money.
I just figured we should probably.
No,
To be crystal,
lay that out there.
They're just transfers
Yeah.
between lines to reflect actual and.
Cause
the
non-finance
savings were
people, you look at
anticipated.
that, you're like, what?
We
Yeah,
know
no,
we're
I
gonna be a
was-
shortfall next year, so we want to put that Skodak contract.
So the committee is going to move to propose these said amendments with that last change that Jill mentioned to the 2025 library budget. On this very,
Well, I just, to me, the motion is lacking.
does it need more words?
I think so.
We need to say,
There's
I need some dollars.
if you go to the document that's highlighted with all the budget lines,
yeah.
there's a recommended vote.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right, I'll read that.
Yeah, I think that would be.
All right. The motion is to approve the fiscal year 2025 operating budget adjustments as presented, increasing total revenues and expenditures to $2,360,600, updating line items as detailed, and authorizing transfers to capital and unassigned fund balance accordingly.
It's $2,630,600.
Did I say that wrong?
No, it's written down for it.
Oh, okay.
The two numbers are there.
Oh.
No, I think. So. I see it, yeah, 263.
Okay, $2,630,600,
We'd say which reflects
which reflects
an increase of $35,000 in interest and earnings. That's really that's the change, the bottom line change is $35,000.
we do want to do this.
Yes, we do.
Which reflects the $35,000, sorry, say it again.
Which reflects an additional $35,000 in revenue from interest and earnings. Oh, should be crystal clear.
What Jill said.
Library was 30 minutes. You're supposed to be vacated 15 minutes. Please use your.
Somebody read the motion.
I will
Yeah,
read it
sorry.
again after
Yeah.
you think it's that over with. So the motion is to approve the fiscal year 2025 operating budget adjustments as presented, increasing total revenues and expenditures to $2,630,630,600, updating line items as detailed and authorizing transfers to capital and unassigned fund balance accordingly, which reflects an additional $35,000 in revenue from interest and earnings. That's the motion. I second this, because the committee made the motion.
Now discussion.
Any more additional comments?
Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, 7-0, passes. Okay.
Pretty sure I have more, so you stuck with me for a few more minutes. All right. Up next, we also worked on the board meeting calendar. So we looked at the calendar. Typically, we do every third Thursday of Tuesday of each month, not Thursday, from 7 to 8 p.m. The calendar mostly reflects that. There's a couple days that have school breaks in there, so we wanted to kind of avoid those and other things. So they're all still Tuesdays, which is great. So I mean, it is the calendar, so. If you have any strenuous objections now to these dates, probably should know about it.
For the record, this would have the library budget and the trustee election on Monday, November 16th, 2026.
Where would the public hearing be about the budget?
Monday, October 12th. Trustee packets will be available Tuesday, July 21st. The presentation of the draft budget to the board will be Tuesday, September 15th. Trustee position deadline Saturday, November 17th. And the trustees will adopt the preliminary budget presented on Tuesday, October 20th.
Yes, it is.
It is?
Yes.
All right, so that's gonna change. Sounded. Could we do Tuesday, October 13th?
The day after. Thursday.
No, there's no meetings.
I mean, it's fine for me, so.
I think we can set it now, and I mean, we're gonna do it on Monday anyway, so I think Tuesday keeps it consistent, because the other things are Tuesdays. Like packets are available on Tuesday, the draft budget is due on Tuesday, I just like consistency.
I think you might want to add to that public hearing that that's for the budget. Because it just says public hearing, which is probably where you.
I just wanted to make it clear.
Yes.
Yep.
So what is the date we're settling?
Tuesday, October 13th. Same with the committee meetings, you see they're always Mondays, except for the one that's on a couple on Tuesdays, just based off of holidays or other things like school breaks or Labor Day, which is a holiday, so. We also have the trustee training listed on there, which will be very relevant as we have a lot of new members and we all need training, but. So any other questions, concerns on the board calendar? Oh, I guess the admin committee is moving to accept to approve the 2026 board meeting calendar as presented.
My only suggestion, and I know I did this, so I apologize, is I wonder if we want to make the annual training 2 hours instead of 1, since there's so many people.
I think that's probably a good idea, because we can always end early if we need to. It's easier to end early than it is to extend it. So with 2 minor adjustments, the administrative committee moves to approve the 2026 board meeting calendar as revised.
Further discussion? All in favor? 7-0.
And finally, for our motions, we are looking at the library closure schedule for 2026. So these are days that the library will be closed to the public. So it includes regular holidays, but it also includes Staff Development Day and Sundays in July and August, as is our usual schedule. So,
Nothing's changed.
yeah, we didn't add anything, any new holidays. We didn't change any holidays. We just, this is the same, just with 2026 dates instead of 25 days. So the administrative committee is moving to approve the 2026 library closure schedule.
Any discussion, comments? All in favor?
So I have a little bit more of the stuff we talked about during the meeting, so I realized I didn't go through all that stuff yet, so. See, I kind of skipped around and did all the motions first, so. We did talk about the SCODAC contract. We want to start putting together a potential 3 to 5 year multi-year agreement that will make it easier on us and them each year to have like something that we can all depend on. We're not chasing each other down at the end of the year to try to figure out, hey, how much are you gonna, how much, what are we doing? So we'll be working on that throughout the next year.
And just a comment that they have indicated that they are amenable to working with that with us.
So and we did request $517,000 and $117,090. But we will probably receive $56,000 less than was requested. But it is a 15% increase from 2025. So that's the contract update.
So just for clarity, there's still one more 1-year contract.
Right, we signed a one-year contract for 2026.
We haven't signed it yet.
Well, we haven't signed it.
For weeks. On in January, we're just anticipating them, but not ready.
Right. Yeah, so 1 year for 2026, so going forward from 2027 to theoretically 2030 for 2032. We should have a deal in, or would hope to have a deal in place with them. Facilities updates, we've got some of those. There might even be more from where I am today. The air handler unit finally got here. Everybody's very happy about this. Is it still being installed or okay? Because I know it's not a 1-day project, so. And then, so that's still in progress, but we are very happy and everyone will be very happy because then I'll be warm and cold at this, when you're at the right time, you should be. I mean, I'm always cold, so it doesn't matter, but the finishing touches on the director's office and assistant director's office are just about completed. I know because I went in there the other day and I was very impressed with the new assistant director's office. It was very nice. So they did a great job on that. Sliding front doors and carpet and lobby have been ordered. Have we received them yet? Or like what's?
Yeah, Thursday. They're the carpet is being installed out there on Thursday and we have not the doors, we haven't just set a time yet.
But they're at the installer has them ready to go or?
If they're ready yet, I don't think they're ready yet.
Okay, so they've been ordered. That was the update I
They've
had.
been ordered,
But I didn't know if we got them yet. I assume we signed the grant, the SAM grant, that's already been submitted. This is the grant for $250,000 to renovate the bathrooms.
So actually, that will be submitted tomorrow, but I've been working with the state on that to get a copy of our deed. So I was able to work with our attorney to get a letter on letterhead, and she was also able to deed. So I'll get tomorrow, but I requested an extension just in case I have more time than tomorrow, but
We want to get it out.
we want to get that.
Just for clarity, what does SAM stand for? Do you know off the top of your head to remember?
State aid to municipalities.
Okay, that does sound right. I just,
Special legislative.
okay, it's through DASNY, right? Or is it?
It's the legislature, but that I think is the one.
Oh, okay, All right,
Dormitory authority
and then, okay, so,
for non-state people.
all right, so that is the end of the administrative committee minutes, but I don't think we didn't put on the agenda the nominating committee. We kind of fell under admin, 'cause I chaired both. So I can talk about that now. It's under new business, but it's not really like. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's in my report, but it's not like a separate section for the nominating committee. So I mean, I can just go over that really quickly and then we can do the motions on the agenda as they were intended to be. So, right, let me go back to my notes here. So the nominating committee helpfully consisted of the same members of the admin committee, which was great. So we could only have one meeting. We discussed who will fill the 4 officer positions: the president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary for the 2026 year. By the end of 2025, we will only have 3 current board members on the board. So we did discuss theoretically hiring a paid treasurer. We're still finalizing how to fill the 3 remaining officer positions with the 4th open spot while considering timing, training, and a potential paid position. So we also discussed the upper Hudson liaison questions, that we can recommend a candidate, but our final appointment is not under our control. That's upper Hudson's choice. So we didn't put the slate on, or we do that in December week. Or in January? Okay, I couldn't remember. I know I had December. Because we have to have a president when we start up in January, because somebody's got to swear everybody in.
Yeah.
So that's the nominating committee report.
Alright, that's for admin. We'll move on to item 7, unfinished business, which is the sale considerations of library property. So I think, we talked about it a little bit in the course of public comment, but just to bring everyone up to speed and put everyone on the same page. We had attended members of the board had attended the town's public hearing last Wednesday. And then in the interim, we received notice from the town, we received a press release that they're no longer interested in pursuing the library property for a potential purchase for locating the police station. So with those developments in mind, kick off, we want to have a discussion. You don't have any initial thoughts?
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I thought, in light of all the attention it's gotten, I thought maybe we could do a go around for all the trustees to kind of weigh in on. So I had to write my thoughts down so I didn't forget any. But I did find some silver linings to this whole ordeal. And one was that I thought the town became aware that the community became aware that the town was in search of a police department location and the condition of same. So whether or not that was the intention, I think it's a good thing that East Greenbush residents were made aware of that. And Mandy, you talked about having so few voters this year. I had that as one of my pros to this whole thing because we probably had more voters than we've had any year that I've been on the board. So I agree with you that we could do better in terms of trying to get more people in. Yeah. But it's going up. The number is going up, so that's good. So here are my thoughts. First, I thought to avoid any further confusion on where our board stands with respect to the land sale and the ongoing interaction with the town regarding a sale to them, I thought our board needs to vote and make a public record of the vote as to whether we wanted to pursue it or not. Secondly, given the recognition of the communication problems that both both sides on this admitted to. They were insufficient and unclear. I think a written communication from the board president and the library director to the town supervisor regarding our decision that we make tonight should be sent as soon as possible after this meeting. Third, I don't think conveyance of a decision on this issue should be that we should rely upon posts on Facebook or newspaper ads or newspaper articles rather. I think this is an important thing that the community needs to know about. It needs to be on record, the status. And then finally, for me, and I think it might be one of the more important things in my mind, is that we did business the way we typically do. And I think if and when the board, because I won't be on it anymore, but if and when you begin to assess the physical space, and whether or not, you know, the physical space, if you have special program needs or you have a, you know, collaborative opportunity, I think that we need to involve the use of this land or the decision on the use of this land, engaging all of the stakeholders and getting everyone's opinion on what they think would be best, or what the community would like to see, what the library would like to see, what is, you know, other stakeholders that are using the library would like to see. So that's my take. And if we're going, I mean, I don't know if you want to do it as a vote after everyone speaks or.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, thanks.
So I have been the only person, I think, in discussions that has been, you know, I have said, oh, I would like to hear what their proposal was. I never actually got an actual proposal from them. I would still be fine with sitting down, reading it, just to see. I know, seems like public comment says no. I personally don't have a problem with it. Just to kind of see like where their head was at, see what part of the land, because I'm assuming they don't want all of it, just part of it. So I would have voted, I would have liked to see more from the town about a proposal, like a written proposal, a study, anything. So I would have voted yes to see more of a proposal. Would I have voted yes to the actual merger? That would be based on the proposal, well, not merger, but you know what I mean. Just the purchase, yeah. So that's where I stand.
I kind of agree with Kayla. I had wanted to hear more. I mean, even at the first meeting, I asked for specifics and like a plan, things like that. Things that are tangible instead of a nebulous. I don't want to rehash the whole thing, so I'm not gonna. But I also will say what I said at the East Greenwich Town Hall. I live right in this neighborhood, just like the other person who wrote in. I walk this area every weekend, Saturday, Sunday. It is a nice calming place and I don't want to change that. I don't think that would I don't think a proposal would have changed my vote on that, but I would, I again, don't want to rehash the whole thing, but honestly, I think the land should be preserved as green space.
My first and foremost comment is that I hate that a dichotomy was created in which our community felt like they had to either be pro-library or pro-police, because the reality of the situation is that a functional town, the members would be supportive of both. And I would like to go on record and say that I am in support of both 1000%. I appreciate everything that the police do for this community. I appreciate the risks that they take and that they are here to protect us and all of the things that they do, the ways that they've partnered with us. And that does not go unnoticed. It is very much appreciated. I also, on the other side of that, very much appreciate the way that the library has served me and my family since my husband and I moved to this community. And I am appreciative of both community resources. And I'm thankful that we have a strong police force and a strong library community. So that's my number one. Like I tell my kids, you can't control what other people do, you can only control yourselves. So my comments are about how we, the library, can conduct business moving forward, and that is my priority because that's what we have control over. So my first is that we as a board need to develop a policy and then use that policy in order to operate in terms of land use or land sale. I think this was beyond the breadth of what this board was prepared for because there is no policy regarding the land use or the land sale. So I think that it would be responsible to be proactive and create such a policy, seeking input from our stakeholders, from our community advisory council, from other town resources, because if this land will be used in the future, it just depends on how. We need to have parameters in place to guide our usage or sale of the land. The decision about how our space is used, it's bigger than the 7 people sitting here. It's, in my opinion, not a decision to be made by 7 people when our community was whatever, so I don't know the number, but 17,000 people should have a say in this decision. And we have heard people come out and speak in favor and against, but we haven't heard everybody. And to me, that's democracy, is here's what's happening, come out and vote, voice your opinion in that way. That's the healthiest way to move forward as a team, as a community, as one. And I agree with the comment that business should be conducted in writing. There is no paper trail of the onset of this interaction, and that's dangerous and it's uncomfortable as a member of the board. I'm not happy about that because I think when we look to Facebook or when we look to an article written, we can't trust what someone's opinion or he said, she said. It would have been comforting to be able to speak in an evidence-based way and say, here's the interaction, here's what this party said, here's what this party said, then have an opinion, make a choice, but let it be an informed one. Because I was disappointed to see that there were a lot of words slung that as an unpaid volunteer, I was hurt by some of the things that I read when, the only reason I think anyone is here is because we love our library and we wanted to give back in some way. So it was hurtful and devastating to see how our town got kind of ripped apart. And again, the dichotomy, which I mentioned first, should never exist. We should be pro both, and there's just no other way to move forward in a healthy way.
I think that the town is pro. I definitely think, and certainly personally, I 100% pro lease and pro library. I was really nervous about having this situation occur right at the end of my term because I wanted, I was just nervous that it wasn't going to be resolved, and I, wanted to see it through, whatever it was. I wanted to be a part of what was going to happen. So I'm glad that hopefully it's a dead issue. I think it's brought us together as a board. I think we all learned a lot about, policies, procedures, how to work together, how to navigate opinions and be respectful of each other more than we already are. And if that is how we all, like the 3 of us, go out, then I'm happy about that. I think for the future board, You know, having a policy or just a talk around what,
Thank you.
you know, how the library director engages with the community might not have any confusion. I mean, Jill is a seasoned, very professional, you know, long tenured library director. And, you know, reaching out and maybe not realizing where this was actually going to go to this length. You know, no fault of her own. She's always had the library's best interests at heart, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So just, I think in the future, just having a little bit more clarity about, you know, how the director, you know, engages with the community, you know, more defined than already is out there. But I thought it was great that between the Christmas tree and this issue, East Greenbush is on the map and very strong community. People love their community. There's never a question about, you know, anything about the police. I hope they do. I hope they get the Taj Mahal that they deserve. So, you know, we're gonna carry on and just be stronger together, better for it.
So I agree with what some of the others have said in that, was hard because there wasn't a lot of information presented. So I felt like it's hard to make a decision on something without having a lot of information. And I'm uncomfortable with how quickly things escalated. I think that's the part that I'm most uncomfortable with because the sentiment of the town has been that, myself included, we support the police station, we support the police department. But there's just so much that I don't know about it. The amount of space, what other properties have been looked at, haven't looked at. And so it's hard to be, you know, asked this, how do you feel when there's so many things that I just don't know about? And I'm really uncomfortable with the dichotomy, as Katie mentioned. And so after hearing some of the public comments, I'm almost wondering, to alleviate the dichotomy, does the vote have to be about the police station, or can the vote just be, we don't really want to sell the land right now at all, because that's what without getting more feedback from the public, like how do we go back to the, what is it called, the strategic plan and the original plan, and we have to revisit that and get community input, but I don't really want to vote to say yes or no to a police station if the real answer is like, we don't want to put anything there right now. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if that's the intended use for like that came before me, but I just feel like the tension, it feels like it's misplaced, I think, because I don't think anybody was saying that the police don't deserve a new police station. I just think the community is wondering if this is the best police, right?
And I think for me to close to pull Mary and both points together, I think for me, thinking of silver linings with the question of how do we frame to kind of bookend this, hopefully bookend this conversation. I think the silver lining for me is it helps frame for me this whole conversation a broader use on, or broader question discussion on use of the green space and how to frame it in terms of closing or chapter, you know, bookending this. So I think it really echoed for me, I guess, the broader concept behind the layout of this broader plot, not just the green space, the whole space on Community Way, potential for keeping that kind of, I think, coming onto the board at, 20, 25 years where it's here and not kind of seeing the history of how the full plot of land was intended as opposed to just the space here. So in my brain, it makes kind of one more cohesive whole. And I think having as much as I learned too, I think there's a benefit and really positive potential for engagement with the community where they can learn that too, of seeing, okay, they see maybe two spaces and then we view it through the exercise as one cohesive whole of property. And then I think that helps where to turn into Paul's question. I think for me, it helps, right? I'm framing the concept of not on a specific use, but more general, just uses in potential land sale is a more theoretical as opposed to a defined specific use. So I think, yeah, for me, I would frame it as, to Paul's point, frame it as more of a, a generalized question and response as opposed to specific, without having, like Kayla, you mentioned the specificity of the town on this specific request in this conversation, and not having, I think, the full complement of like a written proposal and that flushed out. I think for me, it's more of a, a question of, are we interested in potential land use of the green space now or not? So I think that's for me where it kind of sits in terms of the written. I think the written response too could, if we decide to do a written response, it helps, I think, frame is Katie, you mentioned like having written documentation that then is now, part of the library's like collective record for posterity of, okay, now end of 2025, we have this document that kind of shows where we are, which I think is helpful, because it's a snapshot in time of where the library board complies now is. So I think that's helpful for, boards in the future too.
Or do we just, we're all on record? I don't know how we.
I think we need some sort of formal vote
Yeah.
on something.
Yeah.
So is the vote then to say we are interested in preserving or selling the land at the moment? Like, is that?
Yeah, how do folks feel about like framing it in terms of a preservation or
Potential.
or yeah, like capturing that we're not interested in the sale now, or potential land use of the sale now? But that's how I would frame it as,
Very.
Go
ahead.
Personally, I think we should be very direct. As a board, we weren't looking to sell the property. We did not receive a proposal from someone to purchase the property. And if we were going to be, if we had interest in selling the property, it wouldn't be decided, as you said, by the 7 people here. We would follow a process just like we did our strategic plan. In the strategic plan, it indicates that one of the things that the board will be doing, or the library, as well as the board will be doing, is looking at physical space and the physical needs of the library, programmatic needs. So I think we should vote on whether or not we are interested in or engaging, or I can't frame it that I'm not interested in engaging to sell the property anywhere right now. I don't think we are prepared to look for someone to just. And I feel very strongly that in writing, we should be very direct with the town, saying that, we are not going to engage in selling this property to you at this time.
If that's how the vote goes.
If that's how the vote goes. Yeah, that's exactly.
I am gonna go against the grain here, and I would be open to hearing a proposal. Like I said, no proposal ever came. I think I missed Wednesday's meeting because one of my dogs decided to act like a fool, but I think there was some sort of proposal that they just put out on Wednesday's meeting.
But here's the thing, right now, they have stated that they do not want to engage in a sale with us.
Right.
So it would be a moot point in a way to say, well, we want to hear your proposal.
Yeah.
They've said they're not interested in engaging with us. So to vote on whether we want to engage with them or not, in my opinion, is a moot point.
I have a question. So, because we're like, obviously, this is specifically about this instance, but like, okay.
If someone else
So,
were to come.
right, so like, are we gonna do this every time? Are we weighing this on like a case by case basis? Because, so if that's the case, then I think the discussion has to be like going to the community, right? Like, we need input, so it takes time, right? So I think that's the hard part is, but like, if we're going to say, like, yes, no, we're not interested? Is that period, or, well, yes, tell us more, yes or no, we're not, like, is this gonna then, what's the process for all of eternity?
I agree. I think that the vote should be more in favor of how we proceed in the future regarding land use and sale. Because like you said, are we going to have this rigmarole every single time? And it would not be fair to engage with one party but not in the other without following due process and the same steps dictated by a policy. So I would err more on the side of that we need to develop these policies and protocols before we even make a hard statement on the land use for anything.
Troy, just a brief observation now. You have a vehicle for that right now, a community advisory board, thanks to Jill's foresight of creating it. I mean, you could make any kind of proposal, because we're not real estate experts on this. And the community advisory board was structured as a result of the strategic plan to give you a broad swath of what community thinking's about. I would combine it with any in the process or policy you're talking about, just upon consultation with the community advisory board. That'll slow down any kind of offer you have, because you'll call a meeting of the community advisory board. You're knocking around with them. You're not bound to go with what they go with, but you get some ideas and it slows it down. You're not gonna be kind of bull rushed like you were with the eminent domain threat. So I would just say you've got a bit of the process there already with the community advisory board, which will give you a cross section of the community. Now, interesting enough, my recollection of that, the police department's represented on that, county's represented on that, the town is, other interested groups. So that's a nice cross section of people. And I just throw that out, and I'll shut up after that, because the policy or process you take from here on in is vitally important. And you just don't want to be rushed. And so if you're knocking around with the community advisory board, maybe a meeting or two, and if you get approached by other entities, town or whatever, say, great, give us a proposal. We'll run it by the community advisory board and we'll listen to what they have to say, and then the library board of trustees will make a decision.
So I think it would almost be something like, until further policy has been updated, the library is not looking to engage for any sale of the property until clear policy has been developed and adopted and vetted by community advisory council, the board, whatever committee it should go to, because this isn't right now, this is a one-off, but it might not be. Maybe a farm or a petting zoo, like who knows, a store will approach tomorrow and say, we want to purchase your land. Well, we are not taking offers at the moment until these policies are firmly developed, vetted, voted on, and adopted.
And it takes some time,
And it does take time. And then that also allows for us to weigh in and give it the attention needed without having a knee-jerk reaction or anyone else putting a timeline on our thinking or actions.
So are you, I agree with what you're saying. I like what you're saying. Are you not thinking we need to respond to the town? Are you not thinking we should respond in writing to the town?
Respond to the town in writing and say, thank you for letting us know. They made their claim. They're the ones, who said, we are no longer interested in engaging. Why are we going to beat a dead horse? Why are we going to go after them to engage with them when all it really merits is, thank you for this information. We wish you best of luck in your future endeavors.
Right.
Done.
But what do we have from them? We have a post from a newspaper article.
Their
They sent us
press
press
releases
releases
too. Their press release that they sent to us, their Facebook page stating, and I'm not one to say, let's conduct business based on Facebook, but that's not someone's opinion. That came out of the town of East Greenbush. The town of East Greenbush made comment in a public forum. It wasn't in a traditional sense, but it's public nonetheless. That's a written documentation of their sentiments, not only to us, but to the community. They've made their opinion known. And I think, again, in my dealings, within my job, with my, people offer opinions and you say, thank you for letting me know.
So I feel like we owe the community our opinion too. I mean, I think the community would want to know that we are also on board with not selling the property for the reasons that you've pointed out.
But I think that if there's no offer or interest, I don't think it's necessary. I think that if we state that we're developing policy in order to guide our decision-making process in the future, should the town change its mind and approach us in the future, we will refer to our policy and we will refer to our stakeholders. Because this decision shouldn't be made right now, and it shouldn't be made by 7 people. This is a decision that is clearly weighing heavily on our entire community. And as such, I don't think that we should sit here and make a decision. Again, I understand that things got rushed and heated up quickly, but the reality is that transactions this large don't take place in short periods of time. So without policy to guide us, I'm not even sure that we have a right to vote on what my personal feelings are on this, because that's all it comes down to is an opinion. We don't have policy that guides how we respond to such offers. I think that's irresponsible to make decisions without policy when we're representing such a large group of people.
I agree that we need the policies, but I think that also us not saying anything is what led us to this mess that we're currently in. So I think we need to make some sort of final determination that we're not moving forward at this time, regardless of who we're selling land to, because our lack of communication on this is what got this, not all parties' lack of communication got us into this mess where we are now. I think we need to have something.
But there's no offer and there's no desire to engage, so I don't know what we're really responding to.
Would it be developing a policy on one pathway, and then at the same time, just a kind of statement of where we stand now, that we're not interested, right? So it kind of creates a new floor.
I don't even know if I would say not interested, I would say not prepared.
Yeah.
Because I feel like not
Yeah,
interested.
I think
sounds
we all
negative,
agree that.
but I think, yeah, I think not,
That I
not
wasn't
prepared, but we don't
interested.
know it.
And it's not that I wasn't interested, it's just that they didn't have any sort, they didn't bring anything. I mean, it was said in passing in the July meeting where they were just like, hey, this was an idea. And there was no.
Prepared. But I still think we have to be firm and clear that this is a dead horse and on all ends, not just the town's end.
So do we vote on whether we communicate something as a board regarding what our position is, not saying anything about who or what, but we're not prepared to engage in selling the property?
At this
Without-
time, I think that's
I think
fair,
that-
I
yeah, I think
support that, I
I think
support
that's
that.
what we.
I can get that too. So.
Dollars is waiting for our kind of thing. Sorry. And so, the question, so game plan would be kind of written statement on just generally where we are and just what we're about, not prepared to sell property at this point. And then working in the short term to come up with a land use policy.
And by short term, I don't think it should be like a 2-week short, I think
No,
it should
no,
be like
Oh, yeah.
short term, like.
It's like our reserves policy that went back and forth.
It's right, it's gonna take a lot of
Yeah.
engagement in order to make that comprehensive yet succinct, so.
I think it should be a little bit more detailed to say that unless it's an expansion of the library or it's directly increasing the value and services and something of the library, I just think
I wouldn't
even
do that.
because, no. I'm just saying, that for the sale would have to be. You don't want a store or.
Yeah, but we
Right.
don't, we don't have to,
Right?
right,
No,
we have
no.
to flush that out over the
Right.
next long term, like.
Well, that would kind of put it like out that it's, something's possible.
Well, that's something
Okay.
else that I don't think seven people should decide. I think if even an expansion would be.
I mean,
Well,
that's
and that
something
could
we
be part of
talked
the
about
policy.
getting
Yeah.
our bylaws too, that any sort of sale of the land, well, this was a discussion, we should amend the bylaws to include that a public vote should be taken on any use of the land.
Yeah,
That could
whether
be,
it's.
Alongside the
Oh,
policy, yes, but I think that was something that I was very much in favor of, was amending the bylaws to include a public vote regardless of how we plan to use the land.
I agree in that obviously takes a tremendous amount of time to organize and then hold a vote, and leading up to that vote, there's so much that goes into it and so much input needed from stakeholders that any sort of sale, it can't happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of time. And we want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and representing our community fairly by checking all the boxes.
Okay, you're not property flippers.
Right.
TV show.
Yeah, yeah.
Joanna.
So could we? Can we all kind of weigh in on, there's 3 things suggested: bylaws. Updating the bylaws for public vote on if and when we use the land or are looking to use the land. Something. Library related. Create a policy on the sale and use of. And then a response to the town that we're not prepared to sell or sell the property at this time based upon, I think we don't even have to put based upon anything.
Yeah, I think that's
we're
just
A lack of policy. Yeah, so I
Is that-
agree.
I think there also should say something about that we need to do our own space planning. That needs to be a part of
Right.
whatever policy.
I think that was,
Yeah.
I don't think the bylaw, the change to the
Policy.
Yeah, I think that's something we flesh it out.
Like it's our. Cause what if 10 people come up? So does that mean you are gonna go and do like a public vote for anybody that comes up?
I think that would be the final step. It would be you have to check all of these boxes, and if it satisfies every requirement we set out. I don't know. I mean,
Well, that's where I just think we gotta be
policy
careful, because it could be like foil, right? Here's the where
Yeah.
you wanna be open. But someone could go in and say, I want every email you have for the last 20 years, and then that would be a burden. Versus like, I want X, Y, Z. This is it. I think it should be, I think that we need to be clear about, and I know it's not my choice, but I think we should be clear about when we even have conversations and.
but that would
have
all be a part of the
conversations.
policy. I don't think
Yeah.
we need to work through any of the details of the policy at the moment, because none of us are, experts in real estate or any of this, so that's why this would need time to be developed and be seen by multiple parties, be seen by a lawyer, be seen, work through according to what policies other libraries have laid out. Like I think this is a long process that will yield a valuable document. And those considerations can be discussed as the policy is developed and vetted. But in this moment, I don't think any of us are prepared to create parameters around the policy at the moment. I think that the important step moving forward is that we understand that a policy must exist. And then the steps to do that will take place, but they're not happening here and now. And that's part of our lack of preparedness to sell the property at the.
So it's gonna be, so the bylaws is under services committee, so that would go back to services for discussion, creating a policy.
That's.
Is usually services, but I mean,
Since
it's
it's
financial too.
admin.
But we don't, again, we don't have to decide it, but purposes of everyone getting home tonight. We can refer those back to committee for a long term. And then just the decision on the here and now, what are we saying publicly to the town, to our community?
I like what Katie said,
So
that
we're
we're
not
not
prepared
prepared
to
to sell the
sell.
property.
Yes.
Or Nicole said, oh my God, I'm terrible with. Contribution today.
Lauren, are you good with that?
Yeah.
Are you good with that?
Yes.
Say it again. What are we saying?
We're not prepared to
Sorry.
at this time.
Can you read that back, please?
Just that we're not
Yeah.
prepared to do anything with this property at this time.
Are you okay with that? Yes. Okay. Nicole, are you? Yeah. Are you okay?
Is that a formal vote or is
Would you
it?
thank them for their interest, just to soften it a little bit?
Probably not.
This was unsolicited to us.
Direct, I think direct is. the
Well,
way
I
to
mean,
go for
it'll
this.
be a professional letter.
So is this a formal vote that we're taking?
Yeah, I think, I mean, we just did it.
I know we did,
We don't
we
need a
didn't do
motion.
we
You need,
need, I feel like we need a motion in a second, right? Like, I don't know.
I don't have the president and the director send a
We don't
letter
really
to
have any
the
policy.
town.
Right, I know that,
But
but
thank you,
I
guys.
think you should make a motion.
I think it needs to be formal. I really do. And I'll make the motion.
Okay, what is
The
it?
motion of what Mary said.
To have the letter,
Okay.
saying that we're not
And-
prepared to
President Lieber.
sell
President,
at this.
director, draft a letter.
You, the town and the public.
I make the
Say it
motion.
again.
I made the motion that Mary just wrote down, so.
Someone needs to read this. The president and library director will draft letter in response to the town and the public regarding sale considerations of the library property.
Should it say stating that we are unprepared to sell the land at
Yes,
this
at
time?
this time.
I think that should.
And do we need to make a motion to amend the bylaws or to
That-
draft a policy, or is that
goes to
simply
committee.
something
Yeah,
that
that's
we're
gonna
able
go
to
to
do?
committee.
That
We can just refer to
Yeah,
committee.
that's committee. It just goes back.
Did you get that, Jen?
No, I'll get it from Mary after.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so did you?
I did make the motion.
Charlie seconding it.
Any discussion, comments? All in favor? All right, with that, we want the record from jail. Let's move on to it.
So first up are library budget votes. Last night, or yesterday was our library budget vote. And we had 340 yes votes, 223 no votes. There were 564 voters. That was a significant increase over last year, 257 voters. I think we need to do better. That was one of the reasons that we moved the budget to November this year instead of September. There were two reasons. One was so that we had more information in building the budget, being closer to the January 1st deadline or fiscal year start. And the other was we wanted to get more people to participate in the vote.
Can I ask, real quick, we talked before about having Rensselaer County step in and do the vote as part of the November. Did we ever go anywhere with that, like talking to them with Board of Elections? Because I mean, if we're gonna do it in November, it might make sense to look to increase turnout by having it as part of November elections every year.
I know Suffolk's different, but Suffolk, there's
There-
just locally about cost and cheats.
They just gave away a bunch of machines.
As part of that, update is.
Yeah.
And then pass on the cost to the localities that use the machines, I think it's part of.
That's why they gave them the machines, yeah.
So I think there may be a cost component to it.
But I mean, we're
don't know.
paying now
Yeah.
for the League of Women, which I don't object to, I wonder if there's that much of a cost difference between having it put on the November ballot versus being put on our own ballot by the League of Women Voters.
Well, years ago, I did inquire about ballot, like about the electronic machine and. Even if we were to borrow the machines and they weren't sold up, that, you know, we didn't have to purchase them. Or pay for their use, so the cost of printing the number of ballots, because you can't print them like as is, you have to print enough for every registered voter is way more than our $1,000 budget line for the election. So
And you
it
said
it
the
may
case in
be something
November.
that we decide to do, but you know, there's a cost associated with doing that. I would hope that we could.
So was that for an off cycle or like, was that
But
part
that's
of,
just part of.
like part of the regular
That's my
election?
understanding of election.
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
But that
about
was,
that,
I
so.
mean, do you remember that, Michael? It was gotta be at least 10 years ago.
Yeah,
You remember you have such good memory, you remember the.
well, yeah, it was 5, I think it was, there were those kinds of ones, but machines were expensive. To be involved in that whole thing. And then as I think about it here, are there districts that extend beyond just East Greenbush? Or do you have the possibility to get just East Greenbush voters?
That's where it's like for the election, cause I've been a poll worker before. Like there are little districts but each person gets the ballot that they're supposed to.
Well, I
So
understand.
like, I mean, that part isn't that much of an issue. Like if you go to your polling place in West End Lake, they're gonna hand you a ballot with the East Greenbush library budget on there, but they're not gonna give it to somebody who lives in Sand Lake. Or vice
There's
versa.
all sorts of families for West End Lake.
Right, exactly.
Even though East Greenbush.
Right, but you're like on that, that's why I picked that example, is like, they would know that you specifically, if it was timed with the November elections.
But there has to be a ballot that covers just the town of East Greenbush.
I mean, that,
I think it's something to look into.
definitely, yeah, I didn't mean to derail, I know we had talked about it, and I've seen a few comments about that on social media, so.
It was prohibitively expensive
Yeah, okay.
to go do it at the time. And so what we used to have is the old voting machines. You know, the old ones, the big things and they pull the things out. We used to have use of those. And then we had to go back, once everything went electronic, the cost was so large, we went back and we were allowed to do the paper ballots. And so that's what we did.
No problem. Yeah, I'm too young to remember the flippy ballot.
But maybe this is something that, I mean, I know the Friends every year talk about get out the vote. Maybe the Friends would even bring it up at a community advisory council, like how can we get out the vote more so that more is engaged and aware of what's happening. I think that's a good thing, a really good thing.
No, I 100% agree for sure.
So we had 5 candidates on the ballot. There was one write-in.
Did they write Marion?
I know it's you.
No, I didn't do it, I swear. Sorry.
We have, the top. So there are 3 open positions, the top 2 have 5-year terms, and even though we still have a week before, before the count is certified. Preliminarily, the budget passed 340 to 223, the top 2 positions, 5-year positions, Sarah Bojas and Crystal Dorigo, 339 and 299, those are clearly yeses. The 3rd and 4th candidate, the 3rd highest will serve a 2-year term, And those are really close right now, so that may change. Right now, it's Douglas Morrissey with 248 and Jordan White at 243. And then Albert Macy's had 200. So it's all really close, and we're, when I was observing the lead counting, it was like, whoa, yes, no, this person, you literally did not know until we had where we were headed. With this, so that was interesting. We will have later on, maybe potentially another opening, so we need to talk about maybe we just talk about how you're gonna do that.
I think we should just go with
With what the community voted.
Yeah.
That order.
Yep.
See if
the
whoever
the fourth, yeah,
whoever the fourth candidate is in order, if they're interested
in whatever the
the remaining
yeah.
is.
I think
So that's fair. So it's 8:30. I have given you a written director's report. Is there anything you have questions about or you'd like me to highlight? I mean, there's a lot of exciting things that have happened despite this group and my focus on other things this past month. The library staff has continued to put forth amazing programs and services to the community. And so that's all in there. We did a lot of outreach this month, this past month. The friends have the library fundraiser. Programming is up. Novelist usage is up. Times Union. We get through. Actually, that was before.
Oh, okay.
The Times Union hit 6,000 people use our Times Union subscription last month.
I have to say, I'm happy to see that we're using the Upper Hudson SAIYL grant for
Oh.
that period party that's coming up. I'm glad to see that those grants are starting to be used for things like that.
What else? I mean, there's lots of stats in there. There's one stat that I would like to correct. Actually, the Excel spreadsheet is correct. But in my director's report, it says that when we're talking about programs for the month of October, we had 67 group programs. These are library sponsored programs, 141 one-on-one programs for a total of 3,303 total attendees. Program attendance was up 19% over last October, 31% year to date. So usage keeps going up. But one of these stats on here is inaccurate. It says adult program attendance is up 5% year to date. It's actually down 1% year to date. That number is adult programs are up 5%. So that was just I wrote that wrong. And youth attendance is up 21% year to date. And this continuing with our discussion over changing our meeting room policy. Every month it keeps going up with outside groups booking meeting rooms. We've got 110 outside groups use our meeting rooms last month, which is 59% for last October. 57% new library cards. Active users are up 6%. Residents are up 2%. Year to date, new users are up 15% and active users. So we're still seeing increases with programming and people through the door and library cards. Borrowing is, the physical borrowing continues to. It's not increasing rapidly. It had a decrease in the summer. Right now it's up 1% as of October, 3% year to date. Digital items is still up 6%, just month over month. Year to date is up 6%. Database usage is up. So physical borrowing is 60% of our total usage right now in terms of collection. But any other questions about the programs or outreach that we're doing?
You're still doing the mailing books to people, or how is that picking up a little bit, or?
It's not picking up because it's just but it's available, so for anybody who is homebound. For any sort of disability or a reason to come in to the library, we partner with Hudson to, and actually the postal service provides, we can lend things for free through the mail. And then we still do them every month, book delivery over to Bridge.
Is it just books? They can't be like DVDs?
Okay.
Oh.
Actually, can only be books through the post office.
Okay. So I've gotten a couple questions about that before, so.
Unless there is. Unless you're in need of talking books,
Like audiobooks.
audiobooks, yeah. That's a different program that we can do.
Right. Okay.
And I'd just like to say thank you to our staff because they have remained very professional and very positive. And, you know, really not been deterred by anything. You know, it's been hard to work in this environment and we have an incredible staff and an incredible community that we're.
Make the motion. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll make the motion first. Then.
So I'll make it the motion to approve the 11/18/2025 personnel memorandum as presented. Yeah.
Second it. Any discussion or comments? All in favor? Okay, 7-0, so motion passes. And motion to approve the 2026 staff salary and wage schedule. I'll make the motion. Thank you. Taylor, any discussion or comments? None, all in favor? And 7-0, so that one passes as well, thank you. We move to liaison reports, Amy for Hudson.
I don't really know.
Juliana popped out, so I didn't see Jen for the town. So we'll go to Tom for the county.
One liner, we're still on target to pass the county budget by December the 3rd. We're doing workshops right now on it, so still on pace. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, so an ultimate item on the agenda is new business. Fortunate new business as we hit the end of the year, right? And the good news with elections and the showing for the budget and trustee engagement. We've got Mary's resignation letter and Nicole's resignation letter. So we'll just do each of those first. The motion to accept the resignation of trustee Mary Harris effective December 31st, 2025.
Yeah, what?
You're
You're not going.
Instead of my hand.
I'll be the person that lets you go.
Yeah, it's no pleasure to make this motion.
He wants to be like. I'll do the.
She didn't want.
I'll do the unpleasant business.
I'll second.
For discussion, I will say, I use the opportunity to say we really appreciate all of Mary's diligent work, her eagle-eyed attention to detail. Lost by not having Mary on the board, so really appreciate all the time, dedication, and energy she put to advance the library, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Charlie.
We don't want to make a motion, all in favor. And 7-0.